It was a rainy day on the island of Sodor. The engines were taking workmen to a tunnel where its roof has collapsed. The 2x4s needed more trims. The thin controller, Mr. Percival, didn't want to close the railway while the work was done, and so repairs took a long time. The engines had to take great care when approaching inside the tunnel to make sure that no rock, pebble, or rubble laid on a bit of rail. And at each day, Mr. Percival would choose one engine to take the workmen inside the tunnel. One rainy evening, the engines were at the sheds, cooling down their fireboxes for the night.
I'm telling you, fellas, this weather has been dreadful recently. It's no wonder why Henry doesn't want to get his paint wet and taking shelter in the tunnel. Oh, really? Then I guess you must fancy not securing your trucks properly by having them plunge straight into the ravine below. Just go easy on him, Duncan. There have been plenty of more stories outside of us from the Reverend and his son's books, as well as this famous animator and his video channel he currently has.
There is?
Well, apparently, yes. Why, Edward told me the famous story many years ago about a young lady that goes by the name of Maggie Smith who had a dreadful accident.
The other engines stared at the diesel with blank expressions.
In 1926, 2 years before Mickey Mouse appeared to the screen, an engine was making its way towards the mainland, carrying only 3 coaches. Unfortunately, the woman named Maggie Smith has missed it, and seeing as how she wanted to go back to the mainland, there was only one thing left to do. She wanted to walk her way back to the last station. Unfortunately, she took shelter in the tunnel. What happened next was traumatizing. And so every year, on the day of her demise, a shadow of her former self looks upon bridges and hills as she can only watch the trains zooming through the tunnel, regretting her choice. But however, we haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to the epilogue. Nowadays, no other engine could approach through the tunnel, and there was one in particular who was being rather careless.
Don't be stupid, Reginald. Don't go through that tunnel. They might say that there's a screaming banshee inside. But the engine wouldn't listen. He wanted to see what was inside anyway. Then, there was trouble.
Oh my, what happened then? Asked Skarloey.
Well, let's just say he was never heard from again.
All of the engines were traumatized, neither of which wanted to go through the tunnel. Suddenly, Peter Sam's driver interrupted.
Come on, old boy, he said. Part of the tunnel roof has collapsed,
and the thin controller says that we must take some men to clear away the rubble.
Oh, botheration,
grumbled Peter Sam.
I was really looking forward to a rest.
But secretly, he didn't want to go inside the tunnel, just in case if anything goes screwy. Later, Peter Sam pushed 2 trucks full of workmen into the tunnel. Peter Sam thought that the tunnel was quite dark inside. No daylight was shown from the other end.
Driver, are you sure you want me to go in? What if Rusty's ghost story was true?
Okay, look, there's just no such thing as ghouls, goblins, or any of that rubbish. Just quit whining and approach inside the tunnel.
Well, if you say so.
Peter Sam didn't want to go in, but he knew he had to be brave.
Well, Twitchelity, nothing's happened yet. Maybe this won't be so bad after all.
Then there was trouble.
Oh, bust me, Buffers! What has happened here?
Oh, bug, yeah.
Looks as if your left side of the wheels are off the line.
We probably must have run into some rubble. Can't seem to go forward nor backwards. Well, we shall have to wait until the thin controller can sort something out.
This just isn't me day, isn't it? Now I know how Eric Feeble feels. Isn't that right, Eric, me boy? Yeah, I thought so.
It was very quiet in the tunnel. The workmen walked home, and Peter Sam dozed. Suddenly, he felt something strange. He was moving.
What Twiddly-dee? What is happening here? Right, you must have me stopped at once, driver.
But Peter Sam couldn't stop. He had no driver to shut off steam or apply the brakes. Suddenly, Peter Sam heard an extraordinary noise.
Why, that must be the screaming woman from Rusty's story. Oh, this tunnel's getting creepier and creepier.
Then he saw a station ahead. He was feeling much better now.
Well, how convenient. It looks as if I'll be taking a very important passenger today. But I really wonder who it could be.
Peter Sam slowed down to stop, but when he saw what was on the platform, his mood soon changed. The station had a skeleton staff and a very thin controller.
I think I'm gonna freak out in 3, 2, 1.
Suddenly, Peter Sam heard a whistle.
That sounds like an engine,
smiled Peter Sam. He felt better now. Then there was trouble. A ghastly shadow-like engine came rushing towards him.
Uh-oh! Looks like he's gonna be crashing into me!
Suddenly, the engine stopped. Peter Sam's eyes grew wide as saucers when he saw the engine that ran over Maggie Smith back in 26. Peter Sam didn't think about what was coming next. For slowly appearing was...
Holy sweet Irish coffee! Maggie Smith!
Just as Peter Sam felt he could bear no more, he suddenly heard his driver's voice.
Wake up, Peter Sam. Your left wheels are back on the line. We can go back to the yard now.
When Peter Sam ran back to the sheds as quickly as he could, he had a long drink of water.
Oh, how I have longed for this! I'll finally be back to working condition in no time!
But Peter Sam was careful not to tell the other engines about his experience last night. He was sure they would laugh at him.